Hi, and welcome to the show, where we share the stories of the many who intersect with our healthcare system but are rarely heard from. My name is Kevin Pho, founder and editor of KevinMD. Today in the show, we have Tedi Zeng. She is an acupuncturist, and she wrote the KevinMD article, Who is the Ideal Patient? Tedi, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
We'll get into your article in a little bit, but first off, can you share your story and journey to where you are today?
I am an acupuncturist. I'm in private practice in New Jersey. I went to medical school in China over 10 years ago, and I trained in OBGYN in a program that's more integrative, that we were trained in both surgery and Chinese herbal medicine. And I have always been more drawn to the Chinese medicine part of medicine of things that I decided to pursue in acupuncture and Chinese herbal medicine after I moved to the US 5 years ago. And I've been in private practice since then.
Tell me a little bit about your practice, about the types of patients that you see and the types of acupuncture treatments that you offer.
So I have a general practice. I see all kind of people. I will say I see mostly adults. I did started my practice seeing more women. With my background in OBGYN, I see women of all ages. Right now, I think I have mostly mid-aged women. I work with a lot of people for the chronic issues, insomnia, chronic pain, menopausal symptoms, and so on. Although that now I think I've expanded my practice into a more younger age group. I'm seeing more people in the 20s. I'm seeing more men in my practice. I think I'm happy to see that more men are becoming more open to self-care, and I'm happy to see them in my practice.
Now, do you get most of your patients from referrals from physicians like myself or primary care, or do you get people who specifically seek out acupuncture?
I get people who specifically seek out acupuncture, and I think they value my background in Western medicine and OBGYN too. I do get referrals from my physicians and other kind of practitioners, friends, and I think people also found me on Google through my website.
So let's talk and transition into your KevinMD article, and it's titled, Who is the Ideal Patient? Now, for those who didn't read that article, can you just walk my audience through it and share the story of why you decided to write it?
I first learned about the concept of ideal patient at a workshop, and I soon become really obsessed with the concept and the idea because I think it reflects who we are, and it kind of make me think about what drives me in medicine. Helps me to understand more about myself, and also I realized that I see myself in my patients. It surprised me when I found out that I was actually seeing a lot of mid-aged women who reminds me of my mother. And so then it goes in this self-healing process where a lot of the issues that my patients have were the things that my mom complained about when I was growing up. So there's definitely, I didn't realize it back then, but then now I realize that I definitely have satisfaction in treating these diseases, that it comforts me in the way that I'm helping someone that reminds me of my mom.
And you mentioned about the concept of the ideal patient. Can you describe what does that mean to you?
The concept of ideal patient means who I want to serve the most. Who's the most perfect patient for me, and for them, would I be the perfect practitioner or perfect doctor for them? Yeah, so it's definitely a mutual relationship.
And when you meet patients for the first time, now what are some of the things that you look for? What are some of the questions that you ask to see whether that patient is the right fit for you, and for that matter, whether you're the right fit for that patient?
for every new patient, I would have I offer a 15 minutes free consultation on the phone. So on the phone, we kind of touch base about what they're looking for and how much time, energy, and money they are willing to spend on this process. And then I tell them a little bit about myself. So we kind of, I think it's a mutual selecting process. And then I think that's part of the initial process. And then if we decided that we're going to give it a try, then they're going to come in for their initial visit. And that will give me more information. And then after that, it normally takes me 3 or 4 sessions for both of us to figure it out if we're a good match.
So for the patients in my audience, what kind of questions should they be asking their clinicians to make sure that that clinician is a right fit for them? Are there any specific questions that you're looking for, or any specific questions that they should be asking to ensure a right fit?
It actually makes me really happy when my potential patients ask me questions. I think these questions include, first of all, you want to make sure that they're licensed in the area that you're seeking help in. And they can ask about my background, where I trained, and what kind of training I went through, what kind of medical school I went to. And some patients might want to know how many patients I see. Do I see multiple patients at one time? All my sessions are one-on-one. And some people might value that they want to have a more private session. And so that's what they can ask about. I think sometimes people might ask me about what kind of books I can recommend to them before they come in. These are the people who are really committed in their health and their recovery journeys. And then I'll give them something, maybe even just an article, some reading material for them to know more about acupuncture, more about herbal medicine. And I see a lot of people who are professionals. They are they're at the top in their own field, and they might do some research themselves. So these would be the patients who would like to receive research papers, clinical trials, and I would send that to them too.
I actually don't know myself. So what is exactly the formal training one has to undergo to become an acupuncturist?
So in China, all the Chinese medicine practitioners, doctors has to be MDs, and so it's a 5-year medical school with 2 years of residency. And in the U.S., you have to have a bachelor degree to apply and enter acupuncture school, and so it's a master degree program. And then you can go, if you want more advanced training, you can go for a doctorate in acupuncture and Chinese medicine.
We're talking to Tedi Zeng. She is an acupuncturist, and she wrote the KevinMD article, Who is the Ideal Patient? Tedi, what would you say are some of your biggest challenges right now in your acupuncture practice?
My biggest challenge right now is that quite a few people come to me kind of at the end of their health, their treatment, their doctor seeking journey. And I would come across a lot of people with conditions, disease that they've seek help for years, and they've seen multiple physicians and specialists for it. And now they're looking for something more holistic, less side effects. But these could be things that are quite new for me. And so I spend a lot of time doing research when I'm not seeing patients, try to look for evidence, look for new information for these people. So I think that would be the most challenging part of my practice. But I think that's also a very exciting process for me, because we do get results a lot of time. And so that's very encouraging, because I do believe, because Chinese medicine is really about focusing on the whole person and the balance between different organ system. And also I think there's a lot of researchers all over the world doing, trying to figure out new ways for disease that we don't really have a lot of treatments in Western medicine.
So you mentioned a lot of patients come to you after seeing years and years of allopathic physicians, and you said that you do help a proportion of them. So I guess how often are you successful in treating these patients who come to you after seeing so many years of physicians?
It really depends on what the case is. I have to be honest, there are times that I have to just be honest and say, well, if you want to stay in this process with me, I will help you. I'll do everything to help you to find out if there's anything we can do,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll be really honest about that. I don't really have a lot of knowledge about it, but there are also times where, we found something in the research, in the database, and I don't really know the percentage, but definitely more than half of them
Mm.
have. Yeah. In the very, like, in the extremely difficult cases, I think I'll be able to help in some degree.
And my final question, what's your take-home message that you want to leave with the Kevin MD audience?
My take-home message would be, if you are a patient, believe that there is a doctor in you that's probably going to be more brilliant than a lot of doctors you're going to meet, and your health is in your hands, and don't ever give that power away. If you're a doctor, maybe you want to explore that, whether there's a patient inside you and who might have been waiting for attention for a long time, and this patient inside you might become the best mentor for you to help you become the brilliant doctor you want to be.
Tedi, thank you so much for sharing your time and insight, and thanks again for being on the show.
Thank you.